Hi everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel and another paper crafting video tutorial. Today we're going to create a couple of elegant Christmas cards using products from the Simon Says Stamp Sugar and Spice November 2025 release. I love using holiday greens and foliage to create beautiful Christmas cards, and there are some amazing new products. We're also mixing and matching from products that have been previously released, which is my very favorite way to craft. We're going to start by using some of the A2 arches from Simon Says Stamp and die cutting them from A2 panels of Simon Says Stamp Sage cardstock. I'm loving this Sage cardstock as my base. I've die cut the arch from the panel, but then I'm going to use my tape to temporarily place the two pieces together and then run them through this beautiful pine or delicate pine branches embossing folder, also from Simon Says Stamp. These are both previously released products. The reason I die cut first is because if you die cut the arch second, it could slightly smash down the embossed area, which you definitely don't want. Then I'm going to do a direct to paper technique with some white pigment ink, brushing the ink pad lightly against the embossed areas so that those areas are hit with the white ink. And then we're going to, of course, let it dry, and it's going to really emphasize the beautiful pine branches. Once I've done this for both of my backgrounds, I'm going to take a little bit of the Simon Says Stamp white splatter, and we're going to kind of spatter up our backgrounds for an even snowier, winterier type of look for these backgrounds. And then, of course, we're going to set these aside and let that product completely dry. While these are drying, I'm going to work on die cutting the rest of the pieces for our cards, and we are going to be creating the Cardinal card first. Taking the new beautiful Cardinal dies, I am going to be applying some ink to these pieces to build the color. Now you can do this a lot of different ways. You can die cut the components from different colors of cardstock and piece together, or in this case, I have die cut most of the pieces from Ivory Simon Says Stamp cardstock, and then I'm die cut one of the pieces for the face from black cardstock and the feet from caramel cardstock. Then I am going to ink up the ivory pieces. You could also use white. I'm using kind of a non-traditional color combo to ink up my Cardinal, but it really works in the finished design. I started with some clay ink, then I'm blending in terracotta, then some brick, and finally I will blend in a little bit of the woodsy Simon Says Stamp Positively Saturated ink to darken up some of the edges. This combination of colors gives so much depth and dimension to our Cardinal. So now that I have the pieces inked up, I am going to start assembling. Now the black piece here, I did opt to die cut that from black cardstock rather than try to ink the black color. And that was simply a time saver because sometimes it's hard to get the intensity that you might want. So before I layer in that next piece, I am going to take the woodsy color of ink and just add in those darker areas to really add the richness of the color. And this is kind of one of those things where you have to trust the process. Okay, once we have that, let's go ahead and layer on this face piece and see what we think. I think this is going to actually look amazing. And about this point, I was like, yep, this is going to work perfectly. So now we're going to add the wing. And there is a little layering piece for the wing as well. And I'm just simply applying more of that woodsy ink as I'm working to build up the color. And then for the feet, I am just going to hit those with a little bit of the woodsy ink too. I don't want to completely cover up that caramel color of ink, but just again to add that shading. Then we're going to place the body on this. I'm trying to figure out how that goes the best. They're lined up. And there is our beautiful cardinal. Now I will replace the eye with a black pearl here in a little bit, actually very much near the end of creating this card. But for now, our cardinal is complete and we can set this aside and work on the greenery for our card. So that is the cardinal set from Simon Says Stamp. It's called Beautiful Cardinal. Next, we're using the narrow holly cluster, and this is going to be the greenery that we build on for the rest of our card. And I die cut my greenery from that same color of sage cardstock, but we are going to hit this really heavily with the pine color of Positively Saturated ink, which darkens this branch significantly. I started kind of light, but you're going to see me go back in and I'm going to add even more ink in a little bit. But against our background now, look at the difference. It looks so beautiful. Now there's lots of extra pieces in this holly branch, including some extra little berry branches, an extra individual leaf, and more. So we're going to use an assortment of those to build on this beautiful, greenery or foliage type look that we are using for our card. So now that I have my inking done and the splatter is dry, I am going to remove the temporary adhesive from the back of the frame, and you can kind of see how this is going to be built with that little branch kind of coming in from the bottom right corner and our cardinal sitting on top. I'm going to go ahead and put glue, some liquid adhesive on the little berry buds on the branch. And I'm going to add my little schoolhouse red die cut berries. We are going to embellish these a little bit extra here a little bit later on in the video because I'm all about the extra in all of the things for all of my cards apparently. So now that we have those little berries, we're going to go ahead and put together the background of our card, add this big branch, add our cardinal, and then we're going to fill in with additional greenery. What we're going to do is I have used the next size smaller A2 arch to die cut from some gold mirror cardstock from Simon Says Stamp, and we're going to do a matted design. This is a look that I really, really love. I've also die cut some of the new plaques. These are the slide plaques, I believe. I want to tell you, plaque slides. Had that in reverse. And I am using some of the plaque slides Christmas greetings in both of my cards today. I'm stamping these on, or die cutting the plaque from black cardstock, stamping with clear embossing ink, and heat embossing with white embossing powder right on there. And we're going to use the same oval for both of the cards today. On this card, we're going to use Joy to the World, and on our second card, we're going to use Jingle All the Way. This stamp set and these little slides, these little plaque slides, are some of my favorite products from the release. This release is really full of all kinds of amazing product. Okay, so let's go ahead and build our background. And I like to put glue on the back of the backer piece, and we're going to simply glue this directly to our white top fold card base. And I don't have to worry about it lining up perfectly because that second layer we put back behind our frame will disguise if I'm slightly off. I just try to eyeball center it as close as possible. Then we're going to glue our outer frame to the gold frame. And we're going to pop this up with foam adhesive. I want to first kind of place my little branch though here, my holly cluster branch, where I want it to go. And I'm going to kind of glue it in place in maybe 1 or 2 areas. And then we'll take foam adhesive on the back of this to frame it up and pop up the frame. Oh my gosh, that's going to look so pretty. So I've got my foam adhesive on the back of my frame as well as on the back of some of my leaves, just to give that a little bit more security. We're also going to put some foam adhesive on the back of our cardinal and situate that right there on our branch. And I don't think I have to add very much foam to the bird itself because it's going to be overlapping other areas that have foam adhesive. So we're just going to have that stand right there. That looks good. Now this is beautiful, but I think a very full cluster looks amazing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go die cut some more pieces, but while I'm die cutting, I want to give my berries that I'm adding some rock candy sparkle glitter to a chance to dry. So I did that. And then I've come back and I have got all kinds of gorgeous greenery from my favorite greenery set from this release called Ho Ho Holiday Greens. We've got some vellum branches, we have some matte gold branches, additional greenery, all kinds of things that we're just going to fill in and make this really beautiful floral arrangement basically. And as I add in all of these pieces, you can see how it's going to make this so much more special. We're going to add a little bit of vellum, lots of texture. I wanted it to have a lot of texture. In addition, I did go back to my narrow holly cluster set and I die cut a couple of the individual little berry branches as well as an individual leaf so that I could fill in extra along here. Maybe I did 2 leaves. It looks like maybe I did 2. And that I also want to add additional red berry clusters to this arrangement because I feel like it's a little bit sparse. We have the red of the Cardinal and we have 2 red berry clusters that are on the main branch itself, but I do want to add a couple of more just to round this out. And I did add 2 extra leaves to this, I remember now, just to kind of fill that in and make it fuller. I like to bend the leaf there as well before gluing it down. I feel like it gives it a lot more interest and texture. There's another little vellum leaf. And here's our other little branches. We're just going to glue these down. We'll add the little red berries to them. And then we will glitter these up with glossy accents and the rock candy glitter as well. Look at how pretty these are. I couldn't decide where I wanted this one to go. Underneath was not the way. Right there on top, that looks good. So this is gorgeous. I'm super happy with this. I've added my red berries to those extra branches now. We'll add a little glossy accents and the rock candy glitter as I mentioned. And then I do want to add my sentiment down along the bottom of our arch opening. And we're going to do that by wrapping the plaque with the iridescent twine. I know I didn't get that filmed. You'll see it on the next card. And attaching it down at the bottom and tying it into a little bow. I have added a black pearl to the eye on the Cardinal. And now comes the magic. For me, well, I did a little glossy accents on the beak as well. The magic is I like to add snow or flocking to greenery a lot of times. The depth and dimension this creates is amazing. And my favorite product for this is the Tim Holtz opaque grit paste. I take a palette knife and put a little bit of the product right on the tip, and then I just kind of start tapping or patting it on almost on my greenery. That's going to include the vellum greenery, the gold matte mirror greenery, all of the greenery. I just want to add little bits of it here and there to really make this shine. It's going to look so good. We're going to set that aside to completely dry. And then I'm going to go in with a few opal positively dazzling gems, and we're going to scatter a few of these around the design as well. Not a ton, I think maybe only 5 or 6, but I want to glue just a little bit extra sparkle to my card. This is so pretty that I almost want to put this in a picture frame. I think it would be gorgeous. If you sized it maybe for a 4x6 or a 5x7 frame, this would be really beautiful as holiday artwork. Let me know down in the comments if you like to take your paper crafting supplies and create decor with them. Okay, so using all of the same ideas, but this time we're going to do this beautiful sleigh bell. And we're going to also use the new Loopy bow. And both of these are huge sized. I absolutely love these. Really, really fun. And the bell is going to be nice and big. And then we're also going to use another new greenery die. This is called the Charming Berry Branch. And I'm going to pair this Charming Berry Branch again with the Ho Ho Holiday Greens, because I could use that on everything. So for the bell, I die cut the top layer from ivory cardstock, and I'm using a little bit of the Cookie Positively Saturated ink to add a little extra color and distress to my bell, and the layering piece for that. The underneath piece is the matte gold cardstock, just like the frame. The frame for this is created exactly like the first card. And we're going to, this time, make it look like the paper bow is tied to the bell, and then there's greenery tucked all the way around the top of the bell for this card. That was kind of like it's tucked into the bow or whatever. I'm imagining one of those giant decorative bells. Oops, it goes the other way. Good, I figured that out before I glued that down. That's always good. I did add 2 layers for this little band that goes around the bell just to give it a little bit more height. And it's pretty simple, but I wanted it to stand out, but yet still go with the rest of my card. So just like the previous card, we're going to build all of the florals for this. This branch has lots of little red berries. We're going to kind of sugar them up with the glossy accents and the rock candy glitter, just like before. We're going to pop up our bell in the center. We're going to have a little plaque down there along the bottom of the card. So let's pop up our bell, start adding our greenery around the top and our loopy bow. And then we can finish with the little plaque tied in place with some iridescent cord from Simon Says Stamp. I'm going to kind of tilt my bow at an angle, like so. Kind of in this, it's pretty well centered. And I just want to make sure that wherever the plaque's going to go, because I want it to slide a little bit under the bell, that it won't cover up the sentiment. I've also added that extra pine ink to this Charming Berry Branch so that it's a little shade darker than the sage of the cardstock and that it'll stand out. On the little berry parts of this branch, I'm going to take some opal gems and apply those right to those little areas for sparkle, because we do have that red berry branch that we just created, and I don't want the two to necessarily compete. Plus we have the big red bow that we're adding to our bell, so this is going to serve as that little bit of extra sparkle. Then we're going to tuck in our ice vellum greenery and leaves, the little branches. And I'm doing some of the bigger ones kind of up here to the left, and some of the shorter little greenery pieces kind of over to the right. And then we'll put the bow right in the center. If you want, you can always create an actual ribbon bow if you wanted for this. That would give you some added texture as well. But paper bows are great because they don't necessarily give you lots of extra depth and dimension. I am going to apply glossy accents to my bow though, so it has a glossy raised look without that extra bulk necessarily. Okay, it's coming together. I like it. So the bow all is in separate pieces, and we're going to start with the loops, and then we're going to kind of build in all of those extra little tails hanging down. While I'm doing that, I like to let anything that I think can be drying dry. So I'm going to apply my glossy accents and my rock candy glitter, so that can be sitting on and hopefully adhering and drying while I'm working on some of the other things. And our bow has, let's see, 7 pieces. So 2 loops, 4 tails, and then the little center piece that kind of covers up where everything connects. And we're going to make sure that some of the greenery kind of sticks through the loop. And then we're going to have those tails hanging down. I just love the look of this. I think there's a ton of ways to use both of these products. This bell is big enough that I think it would make awesome gift tags. If you want to use it for that, they would be super simple to make. Tie a little beautiful twine or cord on them. You can stamp a little to from on the back, and I think those would be so cute and could match any kind of gift wrap. So let's add our little tails here. I don't want to cover up that little center star too much. I might have to move those and adjust a little bit. I'm really only adding glue up near the base of each of these pieces and leaving the ends or the tails of the ribbon free to kind of replicate actual ribbon a little bit more. Oh, look how cute that is. And this big red bow makes such a nice statement on this card, much like the Cardinal does on the first card. And then where everything meets up, we're of course going to put that red center in place, and that's going to kind of cover up any of our assembly or overlap or anything like that. So just going to pop that right there. That looks good. Oh, I love it. Okay, so, oh, I thought I recorded it. I didn't. I just threaded my iridescent cord through the back of that plaque, glued it in place, and then I tied it in front. And I like to wrap around about 3 times. This cord is nice and thin. Simon Says Stamp offers the iridescent cord and a silver cord, and I highly recommend both of them. I just tied it in a little bow on the front, and it just kind of blends into the design while still providing a beautiful look. I've also added a little bit of the white grit paste to the greenery on this to give it that frosted or flocked kind of look. I've added a couple of the opal gems, and now the final piece is taking glossy accents all the way around my red ribbon bow, and this is going to require a little bit of dry time. So I want to make sure that this is the very last thing I do so that I let that sit and completely dry. And that is going to finish up both of my cards featuring the Simon Says Stamp Sugar and Spice release. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. All the supplies I used to create my cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye! Thank you so much for joining me today. I truly love sharing creativity with this amazing community of crafters. A special thank you goes out to my wonderful Patreon members. I appreciate you all so much. If you'd like to join us on Patreon, you'll find the link in the video description below. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do and enjoy exclusive content, behind the scenes updates, and extra perks. There's something for everyone, and we'd love to have you join our growing community. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, click that like button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.